Welcome back to a Money Monday edition here on Liquid Lunch. I am Fernando Uribe, filling in for the great John Tobacco. John returns tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. He is out saving the world in Staten Island right now at the Mac Public House. We've got some great guests coming up here, and joining me here this afternoon is Mr. Julio Gonzales. He is a national tax reform expert, and he's the founder and CEO of Engineered Tax Services, otherwise known as ETS. Julio, how are you, sir?
I'm good. It's so nice to be on, and I'm glad John's out there saving the world.
Oh, he is. He does it every day. It's unbelievable. Julio, certainly for our audience that isn't aware, obviously, COVID-19 has ravaged our economy, but it's also ravaged a lot of people's ability to earn a living in 2020, and that might play a role next year when they're filing their tax returns, and certainly what they will owe or maybe don't owe. What can you share with our audience today about the services that ETS provides and why it's so vital during COVID?
Well, yeah, we just try to do our best to preserve everyone's wealth by using the tax code, the million plus pages of tax code, and making sure that we know that as experts so that we take that tax code and find all the benefits and all the savings for the families out there that are going through such a tough time. And, look, our code keeps changing, right? We had the CARES Act. We had added another 1,000 pages of tax code. We'll have the HEROES Act or some other act maybe this week. We'll have more changes to the tax code. Everyone's trying to catch up to the tax code we changed in 2017, which was another 20,000 pages of new tax code. So counts are catching up, people are catching up, and we just want to make sure that everyone takes advantage of some of these great new tax changes that'll be good for them and help them preserve some of their wealth, hard work, money.
Well, Julio, certainly, congratulations to you as you were named among the top 100 most influential people in accounting in the United States, so that's definitely a great honor to you, so congrats on that. When we think about accounting, Julio, it may not be the most glamorous job, I think, according to many accountants, but it is a very fulfilling job, to say the very least.
Yeah, tax is probably not the most sexiest topic, but look, we all want to preserve wealth, and I think that the tax code allows us to do that. You can go into software and you can put in the information and you could spit out a tax return, but that software doesn't know all the tax credits. It's not up to date. You're going to miss a lot of benefits there. And really think of an accountant, your CPA, as an investment, and make sure they're giving you a 10 times return, right? Whatever your fees are, they should be putting more than 10 times that into your account, but knowing the laws real well. And so it's got to be an investment, and it's got to be a great investment. So make sure you guys look for that good account that's going to help you and get a return on that.
Now, Julio, I think a question a lot of our audience will have today is during tax time, we know that a lot of these apps become available, TurboTax and everything else, are very accessible. And it seems to be very affordable for the most part. When it comes to filing a state and a federal return, is that a direction that most Americans should pursue? Or is it just seeking out the services of a traditional accountant or a CPA? Is that the better route? Because as we all know, Americans like to save money, and if they love doing it before COVID, they're definitely going to want to do it after COVID when it comes to filing their tax returns in 2021. What can you tell our audience about whether or not these apps or these services are actually worth purchasing?
Certainly they're a good start, right? And, a majority of the Americans don't pay taxes. And so if you have no tax costs associated with your income because you're under the standard deductions, maybe that's a good starting point. Low investment, you're not paying taxes because of the standard deductions. But once you get over a certain amount of income and you start paying real substantial taxes, I think it's worth the investment to get with someone that's going to know the tax code. The software is not going to know the tax code. It's just going to tell you what to put in. And it's only going to be as good as the person putting that information in as to what you get out of it, right? So it's going to fall short on things that it doesn't know. It doesn't have the artificial intelligence to know everything that you're doing. And I think that's where it's important to have that one-on-one conversation and relationship with that trusted accountant, right? They say that the accountant is sometimes much closer than the spouse, right? So it's good that you make that investment.
Now, William, let me ask you this, though, because we know that, as you alluded to, excuse me, that the tax code obviously changed in the last few years. We saw you mentioned tens of thousands of pages. I can't imagine that sounds frightening to me. But going to 2021, and irrespective of what happens in the next few weeks, we don't know exactly who will be taking the oath of office on January 20th. But do you expect a profound change in the tax code, regardless of who is president on January 20th?
I think that really comes down to the Senate race in Georgia. So January 5th, they'll make the decision on whether those two senators are Republican or Democrats. If they're both Democrats, then they would control the House, right? And they would control the Senate. And that's the recipe for major tax changes, right? But if they don't win, if we retain one of those seats in the Senate, then, no tax law that the House would put out could get through the Senate. No big drastic change, right? So the stars have to align, and you have to have the administration, you have to have the Senate, you have to have the House to make substantial changes. So we'll see what happens in Georgia. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, without question. I mean, I love all the peaches coming out of Georgia, but I'm hoping, I love seeing the votes that come out of there too. And listen, a Democratic Senate would be just disastrous for a multitude of different reasons. But I mean, I don't want to get too political with you on that. But Julio, let me ask you this though, because going into 2021, as you just alluded to, obviously, who controls the Senate could be the overwhelming variable here. But what are some deductions that Americans, everyday Americans, are not aware of that maybe they should be seeking when they are doing their tax returns, whether it's with a CPA, an accountant, or just seeking one of these apps like TurboTax? What's maybe 2 or 3 deductions that Americans just forget to claim that are just so easy to sort of put down?
Yeah, a lot of times they're making energy improvements to their homes, and those types of things come with tax benefits that people often miss out on, whether that's energy efficient appliances or lights or things of that nature. Sometimes they have home office expenses that they don't take advantage of. Like a lot of people are working from home now, and so now that we're working from home, if that's one thing that's shift, I think you have to look at the home office expense and make sure that you're taking deductions for that as well. So a lot of things have changed during this pandemic, but the things that you're doing at home, maybe you have a service pet now because of, the stress that people are going through. Those service pets are also deductible as well. You have child credits that went up in the 2017 Tax Reform Act. Those are great things. We still have some interest deductions allowable through the home investments and on, second homes. So those are kind of the top things that individuals should be looking at and making sure they're taking advantage of.
Well, Julio, another thing that really sort of makes me interested in knowing about it, because I'm sure many in our audience want to have an idea about it, is with so many thousands of Americans and perhaps hundreds of thousands of Americans filing for unemployment this year, obviously their income is going to change drastically for 2021. And when it comes to filling out, their tax return, the fact that maybe they weren't earning what they were used to earning, and maybe some of them have had to rely on unemployment, are Americans due, or are they in store for like a very unpleasant surprise when it comes to filling out their tax return in 2021 because of those, let's say, that decide to go on unemployment for an extended amount of time? Is that something that could come back to be detrimental to many Americans?
No question about it. I mean, a lot of people use that annual refund as part of their piggy bank, right? And I would think that that refund for most people is going to go down substantially that have been on unemployment and income like that, where you're not building up that nest egg, which you're getting the refund for every year. So I think it's going to be tough on a lot of people. I don't think they're going to have that size refund coming back to them. And, they use that as their own stimulus money. But hopefully we get something passed in Congress this week that gives them some more stimulus money coming to them in the next month or so to help out, because we're not through this pandemic, but we're so close, right, with the vaccines coming online, so that we can get back to normal and get these states open and get people back to their old jobs.
Mike, let me just say this though, Julio, because as I'm looking at some of these tax laws and I'm just sort of browsing some things, it seems overwhelming for many Americans to sort of tackle tax law. And when we look at your service, what was the epiphany that you had in starting ETS?
Well, I think, I was working for the Big Four accounting world, and I saw what we were doing to help big corporations minimize their taxes, and the CEOs of those companies and the executive people. And I thought it was important that these tax benefits, everyone should have access to them, not just the Fortune 500, the public companies. I thought every small business owner, every individual should have access to these tax credits and this knowledge. And so that's really been the mission for the last 2 decades, is to make sure every, independent citizen, small business owner is rewarded, much like the big companies are, for the things that they're doing to invest in the United States. And so that's what we try to accomplish here every day.
Well, Julio, again, congratulations on the success of ETS, and again, congratulations on being named one of the top 100 most influential people in accounting. Keep up the great work, stay safe and healthy, and thanks for joining us here on Liquid Lunch.
Always a pleasure.
Take care, stay safe.
Okay, you too.
All right, folks, great job there with Julio Gonzales again, the national tax reform expert, and certainly the CEO of Engineer Tax Services. Definitely want to check him out online when you can. Folks, we got some great news of the day coming up here, and we'll be right back on a Money Monday here on